Hi everybody. I've been asked so many times about doing a cooking video. They look like a lot of work, but with my beautiful husband behind the camera,
Hello.
I'm going to show you something that a beautiful, wonderful woman that's in my life showed me how to do, that her mother showed her how to do. Love you, Edie. That's my mother-in-law. I'm going to teach you her sofrito recipe with a little twist that I added, okay? Okay, so now I'm going to show you all the ingredients that you need to make a nice sofrito, which is the base of all Spanish cooking. I've even started adding it to potatoes. It's amazing. Okay, first, onions. Oh, as you can see, I am making a big batch. So, yeah, it doesn't even matter whether they are adults. We still feed them. We still gotta feed the babies.
Unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
They grown, man. They grown.
Okay, so we got our ingredients here. These are onions. Yellow onions. Not red onions. Not Vidalia onions. Those are nice. Those are some nice onions. But regular old yellow onions. Okay? These little beauties are called ajecito dulce, which basically translates to sweet pepper. They're small, as you can see. These are basically a smaller version of these beauties.
Nice.
But they're sweet, actually. Be careful because they do resemble the habaneros. And I made that mistake one time. It was hilarious. I made the rice and I'm tasting spice, but it's not bothering me. But then when you got 3 grade school kids running at you, Mom, my mouth is on fire. You tend to go back to check the packaging, and yeah, that was fun. That was so much fun.
Good times. Good times.
And this is called culantro. I've actually heard people say this is the long cilantro. It's probably a cousin of the cilantro, not long cilantro. This is what it looks like. They're very fragrant. They smell amazing. But the thing is the difference between cilantro and culantro. People associate the taste of soap with cilantro. Some people, not all of us, have that G, which is cilantro. This is cilantro. It's more closer to the parsley family than it actually is to the culantro family, but they're all cousins. So primo, they belong together. See that? Which is our next one is the cilantro. This is my little ad. Mommy, sale bueno todavía.
Yes, it does.
It still comes out good. But if she ever tells me to take it out, I'm taking it out because that's my mother-in-law. And I love her very, very much. So anyway, I add cilantro to it. I don't know, it just adds a little something else. I don't know what it is. I like it.
It's delicious is what it is.
Garlic. It's all your preference. Me, I love a garlicky sofrito. So being that I cook all the damn time, everybody likes a garlicky sofrito.
I be cooking sometimes.
Okay. Back to the sofrito.
Wow.
So garlic, and yes, ma'am. If you think I'm gonna peel, If you think I'm gonna peel all this garlic,
No.
you got another thing coming, brother. No, I don't do those things. It's way too much. So, and I add a few green and red peppers, sometimes for the color, but I like the taste of the red pepper. This is another little added thing that I add. Mami, again, perdona, but I like it. Pero si tú me digas que lo tengo que sacar, lo saco. Okay. Anyway, so this is the peppers. I get small ones. I don't get the giant ones, which they do have them, but I just like a little hint of color and a little hint of the taste. Now, some people add oil to their sofrito. Once again, that's your preference. I do not. I do not like that oily taste. Because when I cook, you usually use oil for rice, sometimes for beans. But me, personally, I don't add oil to my sofrito because it's just too much. Now this, it's where it's all gonna go.
That's huge.
Yes, it is.
Big
This is the sofrito bowl. If you can put 2 small children in it, it's big enough.
It's big enough.
Yes. So basically, I'm gonna grind all that stuff up, and it's gonna go all in here to mix up. Then I'll leave it together marinated for about an hour, and then they go into my mason jars, which are right here. I fill about 10 of these, maybe sometimes more, but literally after the kids come through, I stay with maybe 3, 4. Yeah, I get robbed, completely robbed, but it's okay because they're my babies. So I'm gonna grind everything up, and then I'm gonna show you throughout the process the steps and the type of grind that you need. You can use a food processor. You can use a blender. I've actually seen people use. I hope I'm saying this correctly. You know what? I'm not even gonna try to say it in Spanish. A mortar and pestle. I've seen them use those, but you gotta get the big, mega hunky one. I always wanted one of those. I gotta get one. But my favorite grind is the processor and the blender, because it still leaves it a little chunky with the processor, and then with the blender it's a little finer, so it's a mix of both worlds. You'll see. The food comes out amazing either way. Alright guys, we're gonna do this. Okay, so I'm starting first, glove up with the onions. Everybody come, when I make the girls come over, my daughter-in-laws, I make them come over to help me because I tell them exactly like my mother-in-law told me, if you can't cook for my son, then you can't have him. So I start with the onions first because, you know, they bother people's eyes, but not me, because I think I've been making sofrito for so long, I'm used to it already. And it's always good to have on what my mother-in-law likes to call the pendejuelos to block. So what I do is I take the onion, and you're not going to do a fine chop to this, you're really going to do a rough chop. So you're going to take your onion, cut it in half, peel off one outer layer, and that's it. Drop it in your bowl. Hope you can see my bowl and don't think that I just threw it in the sink. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to chop the onions just like that, and just drop them in. So poof! This is the onions. They're all chopped only in half. I like to leave them in the half chunks because it'll blend chunky in the food processor but fine in the blender. So the onions are done. If you have a window, open the window because they're gonna, my eyes are burning. I can't breathe.
They are burning.
Like my cameraman behind you. So.
I'm blinking a lot, I know.
Yeah, so they're good. They're done. Now on to the next part. Now once again, onto the, if I'm saying it correct, I should be saying it correctly, ajicito dulce, which is the tiny sweet peppers. They come with that little stem. So definitely you're going to pull that stem off, but I leave them intact, seeds and all inside, because if you open them, just like the regular green pepper, they have seeds inside. See, but the seeds aren't harder like the larger green peppers. So once you blend them, it just blends together. So what I'm gonna do is, sometimes you get these beauties that you don't have to pull off the stem, but sometimes you do gotta pull off the stem. I pull off the stem. Sometimes I've known people that don't, but I do. So what I'm gonna do is I soak them in cold water, because you do gotta remember, they grow from the ground. And I just wanna make sure that they're nice and clean. So yes, that will be the next job. To do all the peppers and just peel off the stems and drop them in the ice cold water. Okay, once again, poof. They have all been stemmed. Stemmed? Unstemmed.
Unstemmed? Unstemmed.
And now we're just gonna leave them soaking in a little bit of cold water until we're ready to blend. Okay, the next step, my favorite step, because I love the smell of culantro. And like I said, it's called culantro, not cilantro. So culantro or cilantro, see the difference? This is the long leafy version, see? So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna do that. We're gonna take them off the rubber band, because they come bunched with a rubber band. We're going to toss that rubber band, and we're going to leave them like that until we're done with all of them. Now, you might get some that look like these. See? This you toss, because the last thing you need is a little kind of weirdness in your sofrito. This one we're gonna toss the whole bunch, because as you can see, it's getting to the good pieces. So just be aware. Beware of it. Just look inside and toss out the ones that you think are funky looking. Okay? We're gonna clean all of these anyway, so then we'll get in deeper. But oh, it smells so good.
I know.
Okay. Make sure to take off all the little rubber bands. Okay, so now that I got all the rubber bands off, oh, forgot, poof!
Poof.
Now that I got all the rubber bands off, I'm gonna put ice cold water in here too, because I want them to stay crispy. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do also, is as they're soaking in the water, I'm gonna break them in half, because it's easier to blend that way. It makes the sofrito no difference whether you blend them whole or you crack them in half. This isn't pasta. Never, ever break pasta. I learned that the hard way. Okay, back at it. Anyway, so we're going to soak these in ice cold water, and we're just going to crack them in half, just so it can make it the process a little more easier to blend. See, so just grab a bunch, twist. And just grabbing a bunch, just twisting. Grabbing a bunch, just twisting. Another bunch, just twisting. Just a rough break. Nothing too extravagant. It's literally going to turn into liquefied, pretty scrumptious sofrito. So it really doesn't matter how you break it. So we're going to let the water run on it. And then we're going to have Big Daddy transfer it to the table, because it's too heavy for me.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Next step. The fresh garlic. I have to be honest. Minced garlic in the jar is so gross to me. None of them taste like garlic. Some of them are always in that oil. And it does not have the same taste. Please don't ever use minced garlic in your sofrito, but hey, if that's the road you want to take, that's you. Just beware. I'm serious. And if you got the time to peel cloves of garlic, more power to you. See, my mother-in-law used to make me do that, and in all honesty, I think it was just because they never sold it like this yet. But then on some of the time I think she just did it because she was mad that I took her only son. Anyhow, fresh garlic. Always use fresh garlic. And yes, it's peeled, but you gotta understand, wherever they peeling it, it can't be too as clean as your kitchen is. How about that? So I soak it too. So what I'm gonna do is what's cool about these little things, you just pop the top. Imagine if I would have squeezed that and all the garlic.
Imagine.
Waterfall of garlic. So we're gonna soak the garlic too in ice cold water, and then we'll blend it. When everything gets blended together, you'll see it. But once again, I have to emphasize, use fresh whole garlic. They also sell it in a bag. You could get that, but I get the containers because it's always more. So yes, always use fresh garlic. Never use the minced garlic. It just doesn't have that same taste. I don't know what they do to it. I'm not saying minced garlic isn't good for some things, but for your sofrito, I just prefer to use fresh garlic cloves. I wish that I could buy the garlic cloves that are like that big. It would be so many less of these.
For real.
But yeah, if I had to give any advice, use fresh garlic. Fresh garlic. And I use a lot of it, so. And poof, once again. So we got the garlic in nice ice cold water. And go through your garlic, because once it's peeled like this, it tends to rot from either the root or the tip. So just go through them, make sure if you see if it's darker or black or fuzzy, toss them. You don't need that. We seem to have gotten a good 10 great batches of garlic. Thank God. There you go. We're going to leave those soaking for a little while. And on to the next one. Now, cilantro. A lot of people say that when they eat it, they get a soapy taste in their mouth. But it's funny because that's just a gene. Isn't it? Yes, it is. It's actually a gene in our body that some people taste soap when they eat it, and some people just taste the savoriness. Thank God I'm one of those that taste the greatness of it.
Thank God.
So basically the same thing like the culantro. We're gonna look at the leaves. Make sure we got some pretty leaves. A lot of people cut off the stems. I do not. I blend both. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna break them in half. They come in these neat little bags. They're separated individually. We're gonna pull off the rubber band. Everything is rubber band. Check out our leaves. And then break the bunch in half and toss the whole bunch into the bowl. Again, we're gonna soak it because for some reason it rehydrates them a little bit so they get crispier, the cold water. And doing it like that, it brightens the sofrito. Oh, and another little tip. The reason why I make it in big batches is because the longer it sits in the refrigerator, the more greater it tastes.
Yes, it does.
Because the flavors meld together, and it just makes the food taste even better the longer you leave it and let it cook. You can freeze it. You can make it in smaller batches. And you could literally adjust the ingredients to your liking. See, like I said, I like a more garlicky sofrito, so I add a little extra garlic. And sometimes you could just evenly add each ingredient and just have a cohesive taste to the sofrito. It's all about your taste. You can actually omit certain things. like for instance, the ajecito dulce. If you can't find these, because these are mostly in the Spanish market, you can use green peppers. Green, red, yellow, orange. You could just use sweet peppers, because the sweet pepper is literally these. These are just called ajecito dulce, which is in Spanish sweet pepper. So if you can't find the small ones, you can always use the regular ones. The only ingredients I do not advise you omit from your sofrito is your garlic and your culantro. Culantro is hard to find because it is a Spanish ingredient. But I found that if you can't find culantro, you can use cilantro. It doesn't taste exactly the same, but the food still tastes amazing. So I'm going to finish doing these, and then we'll be blending soon. Okay, poof, pow, surprise. We're done. See? So we're going to soak it in water, because I found that in certain times when I put it to soak, a lot of grit falls to the bottom, the little dirt or whatever. So this is our final last step. So we got our culantro soaking. We got our cilantro soaking. We got our garlic soaking. We do not have our onions soaking because they do not soak. And if you put ice water on onions, they say that it stops the burning. It does not. And we got our ajecito dulce soaking in cold water. And then on to the last step, blending. Trusty old blender. This is mine. I had one that my mother-in-law gave me. It was like 20 years old. It was a whiz. Then, like a mom, I let one of my kids get it, the oldest one, and never seen it again. But anyway, I digress. And the food processor. This is my new Fandango gadget. I like it because it leaves the sofrito, some of the bits chunky. And I like semi-chunky sofrito. So I might use it today. I might not. I'm not sure how I'm feeling yet. So you can use the food processor. Just all we're going to do is just grind everything down. And we're going to start, small batches. It's going to take a little while, but we're going to get through it. So guys, the reason why I say always soak them is this is the reason. You see? There's always dirt and grit. So what you want is that you want all that stuff out. You don't want it in your sofrito. So you get nice, clean, green, leafy things. And all this gooky, ooky stuff gets thrown out. See? But this is why. Because you get a lot of grit, a lot of dirt. And it stays on the leaves. You can't see it with the naked eye. But a little soak does wonders. So guys, like I said, people, when they make their own sofrito, they like to put oil. I don't do that. I use water. And you only use a little bit of water each process, just to get the blender moving. You don't just continuously add water. I only add a small bit of water, so basically about that much will go for the whole culantro part. So I'm going to start the blending. It's loud, so as you can see, the little bit of water, and being that the leaves are still wet, it creates its own movement. Okay, so we got a first batch. If you look closer, you see there's chunks on the top and on the bottom. It's more blended. So we can let this go for like another minute or so everything is completely blended. Pulls it all together. So you get one uniform blend. Oh, it smells so good.
Yes, it does.
So now we're ready to pour. This is literally going to happen about 3 or 4 times because we have so much. But thank God I got my trusty bowl. And now to start another batch. So guys, this is the consistency you'll get out of the blender. As you can see, it's more fine and a lot looser. Now I'm gonna show you the consistency with the food processor that I mixed them together. Just gives it a little added oomph. So a little trick, now that we already got this one, that we used a little bit of water in, we're gonna use Sofrito to start it in the food processor. We're gonna use some of the already blended culantro into the food processor to start the rest of the culantro to be blended. So basically, just to get it started, you start pulsing first. Okay? And just turn it on. And there it goes. So as you can see, the different consistency. You still get a nice grind to it, but mixed in with the smoother that you get with the blender, it really just brings the meal together. And I promise you, it makes every meal delicious. Delicious. So we're gonna finish grinding and then on to the next step. So basically, this is the chop we want. Like I said, it's a more coarser grind, but when blended with the blended one from the blender, it just makes it better. Yeah, I said blended blender.
One from the blender. Okay.
It's delicious. Okay, well, let's finish this out and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, guys, we finished the culantro. As you can see, doesn't even look like a drop in the bucket compared to how it's going to be towards the end. But basically, we just mix it all up at the end together. We're going to have delicious, delicious sofrito. So next, like I said, we use the first base to begin the second base. So we're going to use the blended culantro to start on the onions. So we're going to drop our chunks of onion in and get the blender. This is our onion. I'm only going to do this little bit because I don't like big chunks of onion in the sofrito. But even that little bit is going to make it all the more better. And please be careful. Those blades are sharp. No sticky hand inside. Not at all. I don't know why I have to say that, but I do. Go back to the trusty old blender. Once again, pulse. Then from here, we're going to just keep adding pieces. And this is the same consistency that you want. Nice and thick. See? And fine. Now guys, on to the ajecito dulce. So, just like we did everything else, we're just going to dump them in the blender and blend them up. Try not to overpack your blender, because if you do, you're just going to get bogged down again. And away we go. So guys, I did the last of it. So this, like I said, is the consistency that we're looking for. Nice, finely blended. Now, onto the cilantro. So now, like I said, we're onto the cilantro. Once again, don't overpack the blender so it doesn't get bogged down. We want a fast blend. Oh, lost the top.
Oh, I got it.
Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to blend this together and then we'll add as it's blending. So, guys, and we're just going to continue to blend until we got it all blended. That, like I said, same consistency. Flopping around. Delicious. So delicious. And we're gonna finish that out, and then next on to the garlic. Now, last but not least, the garlic. I always do the garlic last because I like to smell it longer. So I'm not gonna use the chopper, the food processor for this part because I want it to be fine, because I want the garlic to blend through the whole sofrito. It works out so much better that way. But when I make mojito, which that'll be another recipe I'll show you, I only use the food processor because I want chunks of garlic. You want the bits of garlic. Now again, I'm filling up the blender, but I'm not pressing it down so it doesn't bog it down. And then it'll start blending and it'll be very, very fragrant. Now, throughout this process, if you see that you need to add a little bit more water, that's fine. Just use a little bit. Don't overwater your sofrito, because then you're just gonna have watery sofrito. But soaking them throughout the process actually helps the vegetables absorb water, so you don't have to add so much during the process. So basically, we're blending the garlic because we want our garlic paste. And I go from pulsing straight to liquefy. And just let it go. And you get going. So as you can see, we got the blended, but it's thicker. See? That's exactly what we want. That's how we want the garlic. You can use the food processor. At this part, you can. If you want a chunkier and even more chunkier blended sofrito. But I like this one. I like to just use the blender for the garlic on this part, because it lets the garlic go throughout all the other pieces and it just brings it all together. Okay guys, this is how it's done. Everything is already in there. Now this is where the big guy comes in. Hi honey.
Hey baby.
And we need those big arms. Show them the big arms. Come on, come on. There we go. And that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna blend it all together until it's one consistent color. Yep. And that'll be for a minute or two. You should get it all together. Then we'll show you the final product. Took us 3 hours, but hopefully we could get this down into maybe 10, 20 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, probably another 2 hours. Nah, it'll be quick.
So guys, this is it. This is my sofrito. Recipe given to me by my beautiful mother-in-law. Once again, shout out Edie. Love you very much.
Love you, mommy.
This smells so good, and it just elevates your food. It does. I never knew how to cook. My mother-in-law was the one who taught me how to cook. So she's Dominican. So yeah, my food was just exceptional after learning from her. So this we cook. We put in beans. We put in rice and beans, rice arroz con pollo. We could put it in any rice dish except for white rice, because come on. Mm-hmm. All meats. Seafood works wonderful with seafood. Please let me emphasize, this is not like a chimichurri. You do not eat this like this.
No, you don't.
It is not good just raw like this. Maybe somebody might prefer it. Personally, I do not. I do not recommend it either. But this will just elevate your dish to something so exceptional that I can't explain. It's no words. They should have sent a poet. You get it. Well, I hope you guys liked this video. As you can see, I gotta shower and change afterwards because, mind you, this was a burner shirt. But I hope you like my recipe. Yeah, no notes, because I'm never going to change it. I value my life. So, okay. Hope you enjoy it. Bye.